All right, guys.
Yes, happy Monday. Made it to the Atlanta studio.
You thought we wasn't going to make it.
Guess what? We back.
Fooled y'all.
Never left.
Never missed a day.
Never miss Market Mondays, no matter what is happening in the world.
We talk about consistency. I mean, how was your weekend?
Man, incredible. How was your weekend, Shawty?
20,000 people.
It was terry cloth, not pajamas.
Please, understand fabrics. Yeah, I mean, 20,000 people. It was an incredible weekend.
Yeah.
And I guess right around the 8 o'clock hour last night, I was like, well, we still got Market Mondays tomorrow, guys.
Yep.
Still got to come up. People are still waiting on it. So
Yeah.
happy to be here, man. Last Monday of August.
Yes.
Pretty
Yeah.
quick.
Great one.
Pretty quick.
Yeah,
it
it's,
went by
it's-
fast.
So first and foremost, we want to thank everybody that came to Investfest. As I said, over 20,000 people, which really is 40,000. That's how they calculate those numbers. They do it by day.
Yeah.
So it's like
Oh, really?
20,000.
Don't forget Friday. We had a couple thousand in there. Yeah.
So, man, an amazing an event. You know, you had Ian, Mike Novogratz, and Kathy Wood. That was a highlight.
That was
panel.
legendary.
You had Rich Paul, Jr. Bridgman. You had Diddy.
Yes.
You had Steve Harvey interviewing
Robert Smith.
You had Tabitha Brown. You had Jeezy, legendary performance. We had panels on AI. We had panels on how to
The
start a
AI
podcast.
panel went crazy.
AI panel was crazy.
Yeah.
Reparations panel was
Reparations.
ridiculous.
Shout out to Benjamin Crump and Jamal Bowman and
Hair and cosmetics.
Hair and Cosmetics.
Monique and Ariel. Ari. Sorry.
Man,
It was a lot.
we'll talk about the recap later on in the show, but
Yeah.
an amazing experience.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, had to make some last minute audibles.
Can we talk about that and the importance of it, even as you do an amazing event like that? Like, you have to make adjustments, but it's
For sure.
But these small micro tests, even here
sure.
in the business, allow you to prepare for those big ones like that.
Sure. And first and foremost, shout out to Diddy, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll talk about that $1 million
Yes.
too. But
Yo,
The other
Shotty
$1 million
and
worth
Troy
of game.
just walked in.
Yeah.
They just got $1 million. I said, yo, bro, chill. Like, we
got
still
him.
in these streets.
they got $1 million. Now, shout out to Diddy, man. Shout out to Revolt and shout out to Dion and shout out to Tariq and the whole team. But
Yes.
first and foremost, just for full transparency, Diddy was scheduled to go on at 12 and then he went on at 3:30.
Yes.
And a few people was like, he's 3.5 hours late. Now, that wasn't on him. He was actually there at 11 o'clock. We internally had to do some things and we moved his time.
Yeah.
But like, it's business. There's always, you got to move quick on your feet when
Yeah.
things happen. Unexpected things happen in
All
business.
the time.
And it's up to you as an entrepreneur to navigate through those challenges while keeping your composure. But it all worked out. It was
You can't have a Super Bowl at 11 a.m.
We must have had about, I think me and Shotty must have had like 10 to one-on-one meetings prior to it. Like, what we're going to do, what we're going to do, what we're going to do. And we was like, let's just do what's best for everybody.
Yeah.
And moving that time was best on everybody. So, yeah, that was an us thing. That was us thing.
but so yeah, I don't want Diddy to take any responsibility for that at all because that
It
wasn't.
was the right audible.
No, it had to be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
It had to be done.
But that's the beauty of it. I think that's what makes us unique is that people get to watch us make these moves in real time.
In real time.
And then we
Yeah.
get to tell people about the moves that we made in real time, right? Like if it's something happened at another event, like you're never going to hear from the CEO
Yeah.
unless it was something that was unfortunate happening and they're
Very true.
apologizing for the mishap. But us is like, nah, we were accountable for it. This was our move and we're talking about it the day after.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to wait for a week or a press release. Like, you're going to hear from us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no
Wanting to
publicity.
launch something that's very key. He was deserving of a superstar slot. And let's be honest, it was packed. I couldn't find a seat. Me, my dad, Loon,
Yeah.
Ty was standing. We ended up talking to Ray J. Like, we was talking
Ray J.
in real time.
Shout out to
Shout out to Ray J.
Ray J pulled up at the last
Yeah,
minute.
talked to John Sutton. We like listened to what he's saying and then brainstorming at the same time about how I'm like, that ended up being a great thing to see. A whole Keys, he getting ideas because he's going on after. So it was incredible. Like
it was ill. Just we were on stage watching it, and I remember last year we was on stage, me and Shotty, and Steve Harvey had come out, and it was Saturday, and we were watching this, and I'm like, yo, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
And then Saturday happened, and I was like, I've never seen anything like this.
And shout out to Keys for
Again.
performing well, because I know last year after going after Tyler, that's a hard slot to fill after a superstar.
That's a fact.
That's a lot of pressure because if that was to go right, may not be here. So,
Yeah.
shout out to Keys for doing an amazing job. Looked regal.
You know what? Let me just take a minute. Mike, what camera I'm at? Right here? I want to take the time to tell everybody this. I love y'all.
Yeah.
Like, I love us. The way we were so focused this weekend, the way we were so locked in,
Yeah.
it was incredible. I put it to the test. I want to see how locked in we really are. I walked from the bottom of the escalator straight through the audience.
Yeah.
How many people you think stopped me?
None.
Not one, bro.
Everybody was taking notes.
Everybody's head was down or watching the stage or they was writing and recording at the same time. I actually took a dude's pen and wrote my name on it.
That's funny.
And he looked up and was like, oh, but that's how locked in people was. I just want to take this time to tell everybody that came, all 20,000, over 45,000 over the course of 3 days. I love y'all. I love us.
Dearly.
Thank you for coming out and being so locked in, so focused. And I mean, it was just a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, it's amazing to see.
Nah, Super Bowl for hustlers. Shout out to Diddy for coining that phrase, and that's what it was, man. It was never in life ever saw anything like that, man. From VIP night, it was a madhouse.
That was
VIP
crazy.
night,
I didn't
man.
even get to see you.
Yeah.
Nah, think of it.
That VIP night was
VIP was
legendary,
crazy.
man. You had Milan Harris, you had Dave, you had so many different people, man. Lala, you had Jermaine Dupri.
That was crazy.
Legendary performance.
Yeah. Simba performed.
Yeah, shout out to Simba.
Popped out. Jim Jones.
Yeah.
And then it was that VIP night was something special.
We forgot one thing. Shout out to the Honorable Jamal. Sean Barrow.
Yeah, Sean.
For
Moses.
Audible.
Moses Levy. Sean definitely
a brother.
Pulled up on us. Everybody pulled up on us throughout the whole weekend. Then the nightlife was crazy. Then Saturday was just crazy, man. Saturday was an amazing experience, man.
This is the great part about these events too. Outside looking and just because it's my first time being a VIP night. Everybody was super gracious. Like even when Lala came through, she spoke to everybody. Because normally when celebrities come, they have the security clear everybody out. Yeah. Everybody was super chill and networking. Like shout out to Edwin was working the room, help. Like
shout out to Edwin.
Yeah,
Edwin. This is your segment, Edwin.
Building. Yeah. But I just want let the history reflect that history was made.
Absolutely.
You can't, regardless of anything, you can't. It is what it is. Like history was made, man. 20,000 people peacefully. Nothing happened. No incident.
Yeah.
Not even,
no drama.
No drama on that. Vibes at all. It was 110 degrees outside. Everybody, kept their patience. You waited online. You had to wait online. They kept their patience and it happened. It happened. So we can never act like a moment in history that didn't happen or try to minimize a moment in history.
Yeah.
That's something that has never been done before in history. Recorded history, like recorded world history.
Yeah. Looking back, the lineup almost seemed fake.
Everybody kept talking. Everybody kept talking about that.
Up. It's like, bro,
they were like,
"Yo, honor to be a part of it."
Just the logistics behind it, having all those people come.
Yeah.
But on top of it, everyone delivered. Like there wasn't a panel. I was like, "Yo, they didn't bring it." Everybody brought it. I wanted another part of the history that was made was that vendor marketplace.
Yeah, it was incredible.
That vendor marketplace was. I mean, from Friday when we had set the tone, and shout out to Reform for, we worked together with them to have some people come in and view what was happening. I was like, yo, this was just for the public?
Yeah.
Like the entire Investfest community is not here yet.
Yeah.
When I saw some of those booths, and I got to shout out to Miss Business.
Miss Business,
are you
crazy.
Listen, the Miss Business game show.
Yeah.
Like every year it seems like, yo, I'm going to do something incredible.
Yeah.
It's a challenge of who's going to have the best booth.
Mm-hmm.
She might be back-to-back champ.
Yeah,
she might
absolutely.
be. We might have to start giving.
And that's another way to stand out. Like if you aren't fortunate enough to be on stage.
So like I said, we'll do a full Investfest recap a little later. I know you guys want to hear about the market, but just wanted to start that show off. Just wanted to start the show off like that. Once again, thank you to everybody that participated. Everybody, it's too many people to name. So, but everybody that participated, panelists, host. AV team, planners,
security,
volunteers, security, sanitation, everybody. It takes a lot to put these things together. So, and most importantly, the people that came, because there's no event without event attendees.
Absolutely.
All right. So this week, big week for EYL.
We got this week
episode Nigel Sylvester, legend in the game.
Legend.
So he's one of these guys that he does the bikes.
Okay.
BMX bikes.
Yeah.
Like the X Games type vibe. But he became a superstar online.
Okay.
And he got deals with Jordan, Mercedes-Benz, black kid from Queens that just got really into that skateboard, BMX culture.
Yeah.
but took it and just went around the world. He started taping himself on like the GoPro
Okay.
in different countries.
That's
So
fire.
it became like a travel show almost kind of vibe. And he was just going independently and then just started going viral on YouTube, creating content. And now he's a celebrity. Like
He's
I
a
said, he
brand.
got brand ambassador. We saw him in Paris Fashion Week. So
Mhm.
this is a dope episode for, we want to just cover every single basis.
You have to.
So it's like, for content creators, it's more than just, doing what we do as far as content. That's a form of content creation as well.
Yeah.
And then, as an athlete, it's a form of athletics as well. So
Yeah,
dope conversation, something
forward
that,
to that one.
he's
I think people can gain a lot of insight from.
a solid dude. I mean, just we've run into him a few times. Like you said, we was in Fashion Week, we ran into him. But if you're in the sneaker culture, like it, like he has that Jordan 1 that it was like highly sought after. But what he's doing in the world of BMX and biking is different because he's breaking down the barriers
Yeah.
from what something stereotypically wasn't meant for us, right? We don't see too many people like, yo, I'm a professional rider, but it's a sport. Like I was asking, I'm like, yo, I like to. I'm not a cyclist, but I like to ride my bike, right? And I'm like, yo, what's your workout look like? He's like, yeah, I'll probably ride about 40 miles a day.
Wow.
I'm like, wait, what?
That's insane.
40 miles a day, and I'm just thinking to myself, the other day I was telling you I almost didn't make it home,
Yeah.
and that was like mile like 18.
Yeah.
40 miles a day is incredible, man. And he's a good dude, good human being, but his brand is bigger than just BMX. And so it's gonna be a dope
I
episode.
love that. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, for sure. So and then tonight, 9:00 on Revolt.
Oh,
Yes.
season finale.
Wednesday, we got a big episode. Akon.
Oh my God. Okay.
Akon.
Yeah, I remember y'all told me about that one. Yeah, I can't
Akon
wait.
talking that talk.
It's gonna be classic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
For sure.
Everything, the look, the
sure.
feel of it.
Akon talking that talk. So that's tonight. So yeah, we back to back. It don't stop.
Don't stop.
It don't stop. And then next week we're gonna officially drop the Chicago Market Mondays
Can't wait.
tickets. But in the meantime, get your tickets to Ghana. Fastly approaching December 27th.
Yes.
Another motion picture.
Back
in
to
the
the
making.
motherland. I cannot wait.
Ian, any announcements?
Yes. Thank you, everyone who was there yesterday at Investfest. Thank you guys for setting it up. Thank you to Caleb, Kathy, Mike. Red Panda Stock Club call will be Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central. And if I made you money, please put yes in chat.
Let's
Shout
go.
out to Carol. Carol's like, I've never seen a crowd go crazy when somebody asks a question like that. So shout out to everybody at Bloomberg. Shout out Kathy, I appreciate you. Novagrass, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Let's go. Red Panda, let's go.
Caroline's
So
dope.
for the last 2 years, it's become tradition that we always do a Red Panda Stock Club sale
Yes.
in conjunction with Investfest. And yeah, that's what we've done for the last 2 years.
Yes.
So we're going to do it again this year. So
Three-peat it.
three-peat it is.
Yes.
So this is actually a sale that I don't think is actually being offered anywhere else currently, right?
Absolutely not. It never will be.
Yeah. So
This is absolutely exclusive.
So this is the 5-year deal.
Yeah.
So this is 5-year access to Stock Club.
Yeah.
5-year access to Stock Club. You get 1 year access to Sniper.
Yep.
You get 2 hours of exclusive trading gems that were not revealed on stage to dominate down and up market. You get how to trade without using a stop. You get a private live trading session with Ian and Red Panda members. Ian will call out where you should get in. Review of your live trades for the Stock Club once a month from Ian, so you know where to improve. Live trading session in person in January.
Yes, in January.
1 swing trade a month. And then also you will have access to the crystal ball.
Yes.
For every market.
For every market on
including
Forex,
stocks, swing
crypto,
trading,
stocks.
and crypto.
Yes.
Stop playing.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that is exclusively at ianinvest.com.
Yes. And if you got the deal last year, you have 4 more years access. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. They were the first ones to get the NVIDIA call in September of last year. So shout out to all of you who came up to me at the party and was like, yo, I'm up 200,000.
Yeah.
I'm proud of y'all.
And
That's
that
different.
so that was actually for Investfest weekend,
Yeah.
but that's extended for today. We'll stop at midnight. Or maybe it'll be 24 hours.
Yeah, let's do 24
What?
hours.
Let's give him 24. Let's give him 24.
All right.
Yeah,
A 24
24
hour
hours.
extension. So 8 p.m. on Tuesday, it will be over. So
Yeah.
that deal is good for 24 hours, and then the website disappears until next year.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're interested, that's the deal. Ian,
Yes. I'll do this
invest.com.
deal again, ianinvest.com. Yep.
Troy, disclaimer.
Yeah, you know how this works, man. Do your own research. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to make your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to use for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. This is a message brought to you by the good brothers at Earn Your Leisure and the good brother, Ian Dunlap, the master investor himself. Don't play yourself.
Yes.
Do the research. And when it's great research, share it.
So let's get into the stock market.
Oh, really quick, one more announcement.
Uh-oh.
All my people in Berkshire, you're on the clock. We need Warren and Charlie next year for
That's a
Investfest.
fact.
That's what, and Mike was like,
fact.
that would be great. He's like, who do you want next year? I'm like, we need Warren and Charlie.
That's a fact.
So
You're on the
everyone in
clock.
Berkshire, you're on the clock.
You're on
There's
the
a couple
clock.
people on the clock.
Couple.
We'll get to that clock.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people that
Couple.
were in attendance from some of these places that we have spoken about in the past,
Yes.
and they have expressed some interest, and now they are on the clock officially.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's talk about what the biggest news was last week.
Mm-hmm.
NVIDIA. So if you've been following Earn Your Leisure Market Mondays, Ian Dunlap, you understand that we've been talking about NVIDIA for a while. They're the company that are the leaders in the space when it comes to computer chips, right?
Mhm.
And they're dominating the space. They've been dominating for a while now. And they blew out their earnings
Yes.
last week, right? Reporting $6 billion in pure profit. As a result, at its peak after hours that day, the stock went up $40.
Yep.
Mhm.
By the time the market opened, it was down because the general stock market was down that day.
Yeah.
But it was huge. Q4, I think it was $13.5 billion in revenue
It's insane.
for Q2 in Q2 revenue,
Mhm.
and a record $10 billion came from data centers,
Mhm.
a sector that saw its revenue double within a quarter. NVIDIA's profits soared by 843% year over year, amounting to
Can you say the number again?
843% year over year.
Yeah.
And once again, amounting to $6 billion in profit. So obviously the stock has gone well.
Yeah.
So now I guess the biggest thing is that some people are saying it's overvalued,
Mm-hmm.
or it's not sustainable, or it's bound to have a sharp pullback
Decline.
correction.
Yeah.
Okay. So
But we got to start with one thing really quickly, because it could be confused, right? Like we say, like they're controlling chips. All chips aren't equal,
Yes.
right? So they're making GPUs,
Yes.
which is their thing, and what
Which
separates
they mastered.
they've mastered and
Yeah.
have separated themselves from everybody else. In fact, they're so far ahead that I don't know who's second place. Like if AMD is second place, I don't know if we want to.
Yes.
I don't even know
I
if we
don't
want to
even
say
put them in the
place.
same
Yeah, I
category.
don't want to
Yeah.
even put places, but if they are, hypothetically, if they are, they're 3 to 5 years from even being in the conversation
Yeah.
with them. But it's important. We kind of said this too. It was like, yes, the GPUs are important, but the data centers that are going to be able
Are key.
to house these are equally as important. And so,
Yeah.
Shai, when you just brought up the statistics of how much money the data solution centers have made,
Absolutely.
that's not slowing down.
Yeah.
That's not slowing down. So when you start seeing numbers like 800%, you see one sector 171% inside of the company. Like these are I don't know if I've ever seen this. I don't know. I mean,
No, for a company worth $1 trillion to have that kind of growth of 800% is unparalleled. Like the revenue they're doing in a year is that of a small country.
right?
Like to put that, they are a
And a quarter.
GDP drive. Yes. So are they overvalued? The price is going to come down. But when you have this kind of growth over a year, we've seen it before with Tesla. If you grow 4x or 6x in a year, at some point you're going to come down. But we have to be very clear. It's one of the most valuable companies in our country.
Mm-hmm.
So will it fall back $40 to $80? Yes. But is it dangerous to bet against that company? Absolutely. Everyone I know that has shorts on NVIDIA, they were crying at Investfest. Like, why? I'm like, there's no reason to short it, because even the risk that you have, let's say if you have any options on and you probably could have made 400 or 500%, you had way less stress just holding on to it for the last 3 to 6 months.
I am one of those people.
I'm sorry,
And,
brother.
no. I have less stress.
Okay, let's show you.
Yeah.
Let's stress
I have less stress. But even with a pullback, right? Like we're talking about 125% year to date on that side, or plus 125%. A slight pullback of 8%, like
or 12%, 15%
like,
is a drop in the bucket.
It's nothing, because you know about the long-term potential. And even like the long-term potential, let's just check over quarter potential. If we watch the last 8 quarters of NVIDIA,
yeah,
I mean, it's trending, right? We always talk about what are some key things that we should be looking at when investing. Look at the trend. Look at the past 3 to 4 quarters, maybe the past 6 to 8 quarters, and see where it's trending.
Yeah.
See who the competition is. See what the mode is, because they've definitely created one.
But that gap is so, it reminds me of like the 90, 91 season when Jordan went to the finals. Like the gap between, like Magic is amazing.
Right.
But the gap between the talent of Michael and Magic was so far that it was undeniable. That's where NVIDIA is right now. Now you have up and comers. Tesla's working on their own chips. Meta's working on their own chips. But that may be 4 or 5 years away to when it'll have a huge impact on the market. So right now they are like the predominant player, and their CEO is like absolutely amazing. The team is absolutely incredible. And then they found their moment. They're going on all cylinders. And then also the institutions love them, because when Tesla began to be a little bit shaky because of Elon's actions, they found sustainability in NVIDIA to get those high growth kind of gains that you could get out of crypto, but now you can get them out of a stock market, and the team is really reliable. So there's a lot of factors at play that makes them one of the most attractive companies in the world right now.
Yeah.
You would be a fool to bet against this company for long term.
Where do you put Jensen in terms of top CEOs over the past decade?
He's creeping in that top 5.
Top 5.
He's creeping in that top 5. Of course, I have Tim up top.
Yeah.
But since Bezos has left, it's left a void. Zuckerberg had a little bit of a misstep. Great executive. He's firing back on all cylinders, but Jensen hasn't had a mistake like the metaverse was. So he's been hitting every cylinder, much like the growth of investments. Every year it's continuously got better.
Yeah.
Like sometimes entrepreneurship is about when you get a moment, can you not let go of it and continue to get better? That's why even today, most people are like, are you taking a show off? Like,
that's a bar. Say it again.
Once you get a moment, you cannot let go, and you have to constantly get better. Like when people hit me like, yo, can I be on stage? I'm like, I work with them all year to be considered. Like, I don't even take mine for granted. Like, that's why even with NVIDIA, and when Kathy was saying on stage, like NVIDIA is now really the market maker for that sector, the same way Tesla was. Now, NVIDIA has gotten so big, Tesla has to make chips to make the autonomous vehicle network work. But if it wasn't for them, that wouldn't even be a thought. They are a driver of GDP in the country. Like, forget market cap. They're actually driving revenue for our economy to keep that #1 slot.
Yeah. I mean, if we look at the top performing stocks, I mean, obviously, it's in the top 2 or 3. But when NVIDIA has a great day, the sector
overall does well.
Right? Like the NASDAQ performs a little bit better every time. So, yeah, it's a heavyweighted stock right now for us over the past 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy it right now. It's too high to buy. But if you bought when I asked you to buy, please put yes in chat. And I appreciate I accept Cash App, Wires, Zells. Yeah, so I appreciate you. We have to wait for it. And I know when we miss out on stocks, people want to know what's the next one. Sometimes you have, like LeBron's a generational talent. There may not be another NVIDIA for 5 or 6 years.
Maybe longer.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes you just miss the boat, but wait for a price for it to come back. The question is, will they split if they get above 500? The country and economy will need that. So maybe if they get above 550, definitely into the 700 range, they need to have a conversation about if they'll split.
I think what's interesting, especially in this moment, is that there's so many people that are new to the market and new to investing that we can't really conceptualize how rare this moment is.
Yes.
Like, this doesn't just happen. A stock doesn't just perform at these type of levels.
It's like a rookie coming out, or like second-year player scoring 40 and 12 rebounds a game.
Yeah, like
and winning.
And winning the championship.
Yeah, it's rare. This is rare air. Like, we can go back. AOL didn't have this kind of run. Netscape didn't. IBM, like, even though they had consistent growth over decades, they weren't like a unanimous winner in their industry. It's been a long time since we had a company this dominant. It's almost comparable to Apple.
Yeah.
Close to. Like, Apple probably, if you've taken the splits out, they'd probably be at 5,000 or 6,000 right now. But that's the only company I can compare to right now. And these next 3 or 4 years to be pivotal.
Yeah, and most analyst predictors are having it at a buy signal. I think unanimously, right? And the price target is from everywhere I've seen is at 750 to 800.
Absolutely.
And so even now at trading around 450 or 445,
there's still room to grow.
There's still so much room to grow.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about the dominance that it has, based on how far ahead it is, I mean, it's obvious. Like there's still space to grow inside of the company. So,
and Taiwan being a potential contagion threat has made room for them to take the space. Like a lot of business is really just timing and can you stay on your schedule? Yeah. That's why I always ask, like, how many people do we know arguably could be more talented, but they're less consistent? That's the name of the game for everyone that we saw on stage that we admire and love. Steve, Diddy, Robert Smith, they've been doing it for decades. You're not going to get the success in 2 or 3 years. I wish it was that easy. Even before you guys started the show, that was the work you were doing beforehand.
Right.
Before you started doing the show. Like, so focus on talent, focus on companies that are like working in their area and they're trying to master that area for 5 to 10 years. And then you're going to see a multiple come out of that.
I'm interested to see how quickly, how efficiently and quickly TSM can get their foundries built here in the United States. I think that'll be the next telltale sign to see.
Absolutely.
All right, because the world still relies on them.
Yeah.
And even NVIDIA, to a certain extent, relies on them. So the faster they can get some of their foundries built here on domestic soil, the better.
The better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they do that, I'll be incredibly bullish on them. Incredibly. But I've always said that if they didn't have the issue that they did with China, that would be my number one pick in the space, without a question. But we have to factor in those geopolitical issues.
It's a major factor.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stay in the tech world. So what are the top 2 tech sectors that we're most excited about and think that the audience can get the biggest gains in the next few years to come?
Number one, I said on stage yesterday, but whoever dominates quantum computing. So we already have chips. We already have GPUs. The next big innovation will be quantum computing. So Google's racing there. When I was like reading a bunch of white papers, the next race, because most people like missed out on AI, a bunch missed out on the chips. The next big island that everyone wants to dominate is quantum computing. So whoever gets there first. So it's going to be a race between Microsoft, Meta, Google, Amazon. That's why I always say the biggest players are going to continue to get bigger. Now, if NVIDIA or Tesla can go there and grab that land first, that will send that stock up probably another 500 or 600%. And then in the sciences space, even though the genomic space has been tricky, I'm really interested in some of the companies that can actually bring cures for diseases like genetic sequencing. And there are a couple publicly traded companies that people have talked about before, but they haven't delivered. That's the next space that I see Eli Lilly, Merck, Moderna wants to try and make their comeback. If they can get that sequencing down to really allow people to live longer and have a healthier life by doing so, those are the 2 spaces that everyone thinks will give you like a 10x or a 15x return.
Yeah, I think I'll just add. I think we're still in the moment of generative AI.
Yeah.
Just because it's so new and it's still in the infancy stages. I think one of the things you just a point that you brought up is important. As OpenAI just announced that they're going to do their business enterprise.
Oh man, it's game set match.
You can see it now, right? Like it's all right. Well, now we're going into the business forefront. That's going to change the landscape of how business does. But the also part that is the medical field.
Absolutely.
How do we make this more efficient, right? Like I need to have data. I need to have it now.
Yeah.
I don't have time to run to the shelf, go to we need it on the spot.
We need way more efficiency.
It needs to be way more efficient. And so I think as we see more companies being created, obviously some of them are not going to make it, but they're going to be a few that are going to be presented over the next few years or so. They're going to be the ones.
Absolutely.
Because like I said, ChatGPT is cool.
Yeah.
But it's the first venture into the space.
Yeah, first
right? We know what happens, right? The people get to watch it. They say, all right, let's improve on what they did. Let's add it. Let's do it for this sector specifically. So I think the generative AI piece is something that, if we're talking about somebody that's new into investing and they can see the immediate impact and effects, I think that's a space that we still gotta. I know it's new and it's fresh, but we have to stay educated on it and stay up to date with what's happening because it's going to be the game changer for our generation.
I agree. And Novogratz said on stage, we have like 10 more months of this AI bubble before it pops, and then you're going to see a new crop of companies with it.
Right.
Like this is like the AOL version of the internet of AI. It's like the greatest companies in the AI space haven't even been created yet. Y'all know a guy who's a dominant player. I can't wait till you come on the show. But there's a bunch of companies that are making some stuff in AI that is truly going to change the world. Great move by OpenAI to finally go to enterprise since they got all the personal data on the consumer side. But we really are looking at companies to make everything more efficient. Like it's needed. Like you're either going to have to save costs, increase revenue, or increase productivity. But the company that does all of them, I would be looking out to see if Salesforce makes a play there, and also Adobe, what they're going to do there. But in about 14 to 16 months, we should see some big players come out of the woodworks that helps drive the economy a lot more. So that's what I'll be focused on.
We don't talk about Adobe enough.
No, they're a quiet killer. They are just a quiet killer. Everyone who's a creative in that space, what they've been doing in the cloud and some of the pieces that they've added to Photoshop and like the podcasting software has been great. But that's just the first step. Like the race is now, what can I do to help businesses be more efficient and don't have to think? Sort of like on Market Mondays, we took away 40 hours of research a month and just told you, buy here, these are the ones to buy. Now imagine if Adobe could do that for all your creation. And now you can create multiple shows, multiple podcasts. Yeah. And Salesforce, if they can do the same, or Infusionsoft or HubSpot, can do it, they are going to be some ones that are going to like dominate the space for years to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's talk about this $1 million situation.
Yes. Tell us more.
So
what money?
So wanted to kind of talk about it on Market Mondays to fully explain. People see headlines like, "Oh, Diddy."
It went into a fund, not into their pockets.
Please.
Diddy gave Earn Your Leisure $1 million. Not, but people just want to show that, like, did he invest in the company? Did he do this? So we've been having this conversation for a while, almost a year. And once again, shout out to Dion,
Tarek as well.
Yeah.
And they, they brought to my attention that Diddy was like, "Yo, I want to get these guys $1 million just to invest." And then, see what happens. So we kind of molded that to something that was a little bit more, better suited.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, like he wants to give us $1 million, but it's going to be an investment. It's his money.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's giving it to us. It's actually his money. But we're just going to invest it. And then the proceeds, so the $1 million will stay there. And then the proceeds of that, we'll liquidate proceeds. We'll decide maybe like, every year or every 2 years, something like that. And his side of the proceeds will be going to his schools that he has in New York and Connecticut. He has 3 schools. And our side of the proceeds, we'll find out what to do with that. But the idea is to really create content around it too. So
That's
to
smart.
show people like, all right, we're gonna start with $1 million, take 100,000, we might buy a home in Oklahoma for, a rehab project and walk you through it and say, okay, now this 100,000.
You gonna call Ish?
Get Ish
Shout out to my guy.
Shout out to the guys.
And so this 100,000 might turn into 300,000. Then we're gonna invest 100,000 in the Apple stock. And then that 100,000 might turn to 200,000, and then we're gonna put 100,000. So we just kind of the stuff that we already talk about and the stuff that we already do a lot of the times too. This would just be a little bit, way to be a little transparent about it. Situation, have some fun with it. But he didn't donate $1 million to us, or he didn't give us $1 million. Like he gave us $1 million to invest
to deploy capital.
Which is super dope.
Yeah.
But I just want to just make sure everybody fully understands the dynamic of it. So it's just like if you would give a hedge fund $1 million, right? Or if you give Fidelity $1 million. And to his credit, he's like, well, I watch these guys and I believe in what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested in growing money and having money grow for me. So I'm sure he has investments with all different, places. So he's like, all right, well, I'll give them $1 million and they can invest it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as opposed to me just supporting them, I want to actually show another way of support by entrusting them. And no matter how much money you have, $1 million is still $1 million.
It's still $1 million.
It don't matter. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
I get it. So it's not like, but at the end of the day, nobody's just going to just throw away $1 million for no reason.
No.
So,
especially in this climate.
Yeah. So that says, that speaks a lot about the trust that he has for us. And yeah, just his willingness to actually think outside the box.
Yeah.
Have some fun with it, disrupt finance. That's what we've all been about. And man, maybe we can get you involved too. You can, do some.
What's up, my brother?
Stock
Partnership.
Maybe we shoot some content around this globe.
Get the crystal ball.
The crystal ball.
We can do a crystal ball.
It can make
Take that.
It may make its debut.
Hey,
a crystal.
If not me, who? Yeah,
a crystal ball session.
Yeah,
but that's why I thought it would be dope. Because originally I think he just wanted to just put the money in the stock market. But I'm like, well, I think we can do a little bit more and just really show people like
the financial plan that came out.
And that's why
you need diversification.
Diversification.
You need diversification because with that kind of capital, when you get to 1.5 million, you need downside protection no matter what. So if, let's say NVIDIA falls 50%, not saying that it will, but you do need other assets in place to make sure that your portfolio is not drawn down, because at that point you need safety. Like that's what you're really selling at the end of the day, the least amount of risk. Yeah. The least amount of drawdown. So yeah, diversification in that case.
But it also gives you an opportunity to highlight these people who are experts in those diversification areas.
Yeah. Right.
And so if we're talking about index funds, well, let's have, you know what I mean? Like you get to see these people. That's why the content is so important. So you can see it happening in real time. Yeah. But I think another thing, like what Puff said, makes it interesting, and why, I mean, we really admire him is because he's a man of his word, number one. But number two, he's saying like, yeah, I'm doing it. Who's next?
Yeah.
Like, these guys are now open for business.
Yeah.
I trust them. You should trust them.
That says a
lot. If you rock with me, you should be rocking with them, which is like, there's nothing more you can ask for, right? Like, he came and supported, and again, it was free. Like, he didn't say like, yo, y'all got to pay me to be here. In fact, he said, yo, I'm investing in y'all for the long term because I believe in the mission. And so it's an incredible opportunity. I mean, we take it very seriously. And I think everybody's going to benefit from it. I think the people that are going to watch the content that we create around it are going to benefit from it. And then again, going back to capital prep, I mean, education where it's always at. And so there's going to be generations of kids who benefit from it as well. So it's a win-win for everybody.
And I think it's a great story that you can be yourself and just be black and be comfortable being yourself and not have to go through the traditional pitch meetings. Like, if you're providing impact and results, people are going to show up for the money. Like, you didn't like go out and ask him for it. That's a great part. He wanted to do it.
Right.
So for all the content creators, all the entrepreneurs, like, just be authentic to yourself. The capital will find you, the audience will find you, the money will find you.
Just stay focused.
Yeah,
keep going.
Stay focused.
Just keep going.
And another thing, I think that Diddy's at a point in his life where, he realizes that there's more to be done as far as not just more to be done as far as making money, but more impact.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, how can I help people that's on the ground and give them a voice and amplify their voice and provide even more higher level of credibility than what they're doing and show a higher level of support. I think, when somebody trusts you with $1 million of their own money, that says a lot.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way as far as for other people you having trust in you and, thinking of you in that light. So it was a super dope moment to do that. We brought the check out on stage.
That was fire.
But once again, I just wanted to just make people fully understand. It's not like we put the money in our bank account. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't give us $1 million. But he did give us $1 million to invest for him. And we're gonna have some fun with that. That's gonna be a good vibe to just, do that and show people and, educate people while still making money, while being able to give money to charity. And and it's his money. It's not like we're not like asking anybody to donate to the fund or anything like that. Like, it's just his money that he's going to do himself. So it's no public participation.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things, like, even in speaking to him, is that he wants more. Yeah. Not in terms of money, but he wants more of us to be at the level of success. Yeah. Because once you get to this point, I know for us, it's like, yo, he's a billionaire. But like, it's not like in the hundreds of billions. It's not even the 50s of billions. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when he goes into rooms and these people that he's now associated with, it's kind of like I still got a ladder that I'm looking up to, right? But I'm going in this battle by myself, right? So when I'm in these rooms, who else looks like me in these rooms? Like when Jay was like, yo, I see less of us the higher I go.
Absolutely.
It's like one of these things. And so the more you give back to the people who have opportunity and you see potential in that could actually climb up this ladder and bring people with them, now it's like you created an army with you to now go into these spaces and kick down more doors. So again, it's an honorable play. And we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to the challenge.
And in order to get to the generational wealth that we want, we need generational unity.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that I kept seeing in the crowd. I kept thinking, I'm like, what if all 20,000 of us just picked one company and like we all gonna buy 1,000 shares apiece? The board will have to cater to us immediately. And then it also goes to show too, like you have to stay on top of your game so you don't have to get prepared at the last minute. Like thank God all the prep work was done. So when he presented the opportunity, we're ready. Like a lot of people wouldn't have been ready for that moment. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But the biggest takeaway I want you guys to have is that you never know when your blessing is going to arrive. You have to always be prepared.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. All right. So let's talk about this. What's the importance of being a contrarian in the face of conventional wisdom to be able to extract biggest gains out of the stock market?
I think the biggest lesson, especially from this weekend, everyone that had impact, they approach things much differently than everyone else is doing. You can either follow a trend in investing and ride the gains of someone else, but like even talking to Kathy backstage, she initially invested in NVIDIA at $5 when no one was talking about it. Now we can talk about if she should have left and what the asset allocation would look like, but for her to catch NVIDIA and Tesla early, every entrepreneur I've seen, even with the idea to do this kind of, because let's be honest, most conferences are boring as hell. So to have like the rock star rap approach to it, which they end up loving, that was contrarian. Most people will say, let's have a button down and everyone go to lunch at 12:30.
How should I dress?
That's not fun. So I'm seeing even in all the entrepreneurs, there's a wave of by the time everyone's talking about an idea, that's usually dead. That's why Mike was saying, okay, great. AI's here, we're in a bubble, but you have to find the next thing. For me, the next thing is quantum computing. You guys started doing podcasts and a lot of them popped up. And now here comes the fun. That's another way to be contrarian. Because if you said 3 years ago, well, this podcast show is going to lead to getting the fun, you'd be like, how the hell would that work? I think all the great gains that we've ever seen came out of contrarian minds. Even for this phone, the iPhone, to be as popular as it was when Apple was known as a computer company, you need to be a contrarian to get the biggest gains in the market. So if you're following the advice that everyone else is giving you, it's time for you to research the companies or sectors that are going to be dominant in 10 years so you can be ahead of that wave, buy more shares, and then when it pops up in 10 years, you can exit with a few $1 million.
Yeah, I like the point you've made. It makes me think of the question that people ask us, and then what's next?
Yep.
And my answer is always the same, more, right? Because opportunities present themselves every day.
Yeah.
And so some opportunities you don't plan for, but you've worked so hard throughout the other ones that you feel like you're prepared and you can make it happen. Yeah. And so that seems to be always the answer. And it's interesting, like when you're talking about Kathy, I'm just thinking like how she was investing. She's looking for the next thing, but she's always doing that.
Always.
To the point where when I saw her on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, I'm like, oh, that's her?
Yeah.
She's sitting down on the computer working, looking for the next thing right before she's going to go on stage. Yeah. And so it takes that level of dedication and commitment to saying, all right, I have to have that vision. I have to have foresight, which most people lack. And I have to be committed to that, which again, most people lack. That will change their outcomes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke to her before she went on stage, her and Carolyn, and we were talking about the panel. I was just kind of saying like direction we wanted to go in with like the future. Name of the panel was the future of investing. So it was like, okay, like what's next? And it was like, innovation, which is perfect because the name of the fund is the ARC Innovation Fund. So she understood that, she got that right away. So yeah, you always gotta be innovative. I think it's just important, just in life, to always kind of be a contrarian. I feel like when everybody's doing one thing, something is brewing in the water.
Yeah. Got to pivot to the next
It's like, Warren Buffett said, like, be fearful when everybody, I paraphrase.
Absolutely.
Be fearful when everybody's greedy, joyful and be greedy when everybody's fearful. Like, I mean, like that's kind of that right there. If you just think about it like that, then that's a good life lesson.
Absolutely.
Investfest.
Incredible.
We did something crazy for the last 2 years where Ian did the Red Panda 5-year sale, and it's become part of the fabric of
How y'all
Investfest.
talking me to this again?
So this is year 3. Every year we do this for one day following Investfest. This year we're going to do it. It is 5-year access to stock clubs. That's the bundle for 5 years.
Yeah.
1 year access to Sniper, 2 hours of exclusive trading gems, how to trade without using a stop, private trading session with Ian and Red Panda members in January. Right? January?
Yep, in January, yep.
Review of live trades, live trading session with Ian and Red Panda will call on the calls.
Yeah.
1 swing trade entry per month.
Yep.
And of course, the crystal ball, which works in every marketplace.
Every market.
So the Red Panda Stock Club, right? That's what we've been talking about. Ian talks about every single week. So that's the 5-year access. That's the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's good for 24 hours. It's really just for Investfest, but we realize that every single person obviously does not go to Investfest, can't make it to Investfest. So that's what we've done traditionally, whereas it runs for Investfest weekend, but then Market Mondays, which is always the Monday after the Sunday that Investfest ends.
Yeah.
We run it for 24 hours. That's a 24-hour vibe, ianinvest.com.
Yeah.
And that's the deal.
The most interesting part about being on stage is interesting to see some of the things that we're talking about were things that we covered on the show prior to. So even Mike Novogratz, the first time he came on the show, and I called out that crazy 20,000 level on Bitcoin, which we still like hovering around to be a good entry to get in. But really, we're giving you like billionaire insights, even though we're not billionaires yet. Now, when it does happen, then the million go to 10 million to Diddy.
What Steve say? If I had 15 billion, I don't know if y'all see me anymore.
Just saying. So,
but that's a good point. I mean, knowing the work that you put in, right? I'm talking prior to 2020, when we start Market Mondays.
Yeah.
When you have moments like you had yesterday, when you're on stage with people that you've probably studied and admired throughout your career in the world of investing, when they're starting to say the things that you've noticed, that you said, and you've done the research for, is it still validating for you, like internally?
Absolutely.
Like what is that like?
Not so much for me internally, because like same with you guys, you have the best show in the world. It's just not on ABC in the morning yet, which the show should be, right? For me, it was like, okay, the audience gets to hear from her and him. Like, no, like he's on our level. But sometimes the audience may not see it like that. So for me, but it's very humbling to be on the stage. And then also too, like in the interview, because Kathy told me, she's like, I thought you were going to come in and try and take over the interview. And I'm like, but this is a great lesson in grace, because most times when people get on stages like that, if you're not of their stature, they want to make the moment about them. And I'm like, I want to make it about the audience. Like my whole calling card has been to make you guys money. It's not about me, because if that's the case, I could have left and went to any fund I wanted to at that point. But weaving the questions back to Mike and Kathy, it opened up a relationship, big thing that you talk about all the time. And then so when we got off stage, she was like, oh, love the crowd. Made a lot of people money. What can we do? How can we partner? Then talk to Mike for a while. So it's not about something we talked about 2 years ago. It's like, it's not about you in that moment. It's about them and building a relationship. And then once she felt that, she was a lot more relaxed, because her and Mike were really conflicted in how they even went about investing, even though they're friends. It was just really interesting to see all of that. But yeah, it's a very humbling moment to see a kid from East Chicago be on stage with 2 of the most known investors of this era. And then not only to have a conversation, but to see, okay, I was talking about a lot of these things 2 years prior.
It was interesting when you had walked in, and I'm like, come on, we got to go right now. Yeah. And the first thing she said was, Ian, I read everything about you.
It's crazy.
I know who you are.
That was crazy. It's like, I've been watching the show. I was like, wow, okay. But
I thought that was dope.
But I think it's key to be an advocate. I've always said, like, I felt like they attacked her because she was a woman. No one was talking about pairing Tesla and Bitcoin together until she did it. She was early on NVIDIA, but just to see how the industry works. And yes, you can get gains, but everyone becomes jealous of the success. You guys have dealt with that. Even asking her, how do you deal with it? She's like, I focus on the work. She's like, I know the people that love me will still love me, but my job is just to keep providing wins. So it was a great conversation, but I was like truly humbled to be on stage, and thank you guys for setting it up. I remember we was in LA and you like, yo,
Got something.
got something with you. I was like, oh baby.
Got something.
I started, but that was what, January? Been preparing since January.
Yeah, I called Shotty. Well, we were riding back yesterday after the event, and it's tough because this journey that we on, like, there's a team that it takes to make sure that this happens.
Absolutely.
But on a day to day, like, we together all the time.
Yeah.
So I know when it's like he's gonna say he don't need sleep, but I'm looking at him like, yo,
Yeah.
you need to get some sleep. And
Yeah.
I know what he deals with on a daily basis, and vice versa. So I was like, yo, we prepared 9 months
Yes.
for this moment.
Yeah.
And now we did it.
Yeah.
Like, this is
incredible.
It's an incredible, it's an exhausting feeling, but it's an
yeah.
incredible feeling. And then to see the people, like even the text messages, and I'm sure you got a bunch of calls like,
Yeah.
yo, can we set up this meeting this week? We need to talk. We need to talk. Yo, this is incredible. I've never seen anything like this. This is life changing. This is life changing. That never gets old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yo, this is what the work is about.
Yeah.
This is what the work is about. On top of, yes, we got a million other things that we're doing, including Market Mondays.
Yeah.
Market Mondays Live, Chicago next week.
Yeah,
Ghana, end of the year. All these things that happen, but we still had a focus to make sure that the impact of Investfest was going to be felt in. And I feel like we might have accomplished the goal.
No, y'all over delivered.
Fest. Legendary situation. Legendary situation for sure. So let's talk about this. What are the four most important economic indicators that will tell us where the market is going?
Inverted yield curve I've talked about before. The GDP, of course, is very key. The rate of inflation. And then one thing that we've talked about here before, but Mike confirmed, was debt to GDP ratio of the United States. So we're at 129. So before we go on stage, and this was interesting to see, like, Kathy and Mike, it was like a cipher. And I don't want to tell too much, but Mike said if we get to 170 on GDP, our nation will be flat for a decade. And I was like, we're at 130. What do you mean? He was like, no nation has ever almost got to 200, even though Japan is hovering there, and they've made it okay for the next decade. So we need better leadership. We need better fiscal policy, because if that is not taken care of, like, we are overextended as is. But we're like when your credit card, you got like a $5,000 limit, you like at 4,500. We're there for America. So if we don't find a way to produce more companies that are driving GDP, and that's why NVIDIA is so important. When Meta took a little stumble, they filled that gap when Meta hadn't turned things around yet. There shouldn't be 7 companies that are running the world economy right now. Like, we really technically need 20 to be in a place of safety and to bring the GDP down. But we printed so much money from COVID. Now, when inflation goes up, we're spending $8.5 billion a day just on interest payments. So if that doesn't come down, it's going to be almost impossible for another 10 stocks to 20 stocks to come up that would give us great gains. So that's the number one thing you have to keep your eyes on, is debt to GDP ratio. And if we get to like 140, 150, we could be in trouble. I know Chamath Palihapitiya, I love you. I know he said it does not matter. But when Mike says it and economists are saying it, and then now Goldman Sachs see it, like even Larry Fink is starting to get worried about GDP, and they run the world. Like, if BlackRock gets concerned, we should be worried. We have to figure out a way collectively to be able to bring the GDP down so that we have a safe economy.
When you say 7 companies that control the economy, the world economy?
Yes.
So here's a question, because I'm thinking about the 7 companies. I'm sure we all know them. When will that not happen, right? Or are you saying that they can't continue at this pace?
At this pace.
Or do we need more people to participate? Because those 7 companies are going to be here for the next 10 years. And
But
they're probably still going to lead.
Yeah.
Are you saying we need more horses in this race?
We need more horses in this race. But when you have a economic policy where inflation finally has went back up after 14 years, the company profits are being squeezed. The average person isn't making enough to even stimulate the economy. We're in a desperate cycle. Like, imagine if we were a B2B enterprise and we only had 7 great clients. We'd be worried. That's our nation right now. Like, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, Tesla, Meta, and Google are keeping us afloat.
Yeah.
That's like if the NBA only has 7 good players, you get 2 injuries, we're out of luck. Thank God Zuckerberg started doing Muay Thai and got in shape and then turned around a fortune of Meta, because if not, the economy would be even lower than we are right now.
But this is interesting, because if we compare it to basketball, we've had this conversation before. you can have a bunch of all-stars, but you really need about 3 to 5 superstars. Right? And so we got 7 superstars.
Yep.
We just need some more all-stars.
But out of 6,000 publicly traded companies.
We got right.
That's the tough part. Like, even with you being an advisor, like, never in history since you started being an advisor where only this small amount of companies produce 80% of the gains.
Yeah.
Like, even great companies, Honeywell, Caterpillar, John Deere, McDonald's, like Starbucks is having issues and their sales are strong because the inflation is eating away all the gain. Like, for like a trading example, this is like the equivalent of over trading. The products are moving well, the sales are strong, but inflation is so high, there's decay in the profitability.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of these all-stars, I had a moment. I forget who I was talking to. It might have been Dio. And shout out to Dio. And we were back in the little tunnel yesterday, and he was like, you had Robert Smith, Puff, Junior Bridgman, Paul Judge was standing there.
Yeah, shout out to Paul.
and some other guys that we'll talk about another time.
Yeah.
And he was like, what's the percentage of the black net worth that has come through this building this weekend?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, even if it registers as like 2%, like, think about that in one place.
Yeah. And that's why, like, these conversations are important because we have to find ways to rally together to find the next companies and partner with AT16Z and Y Combinator to find them. Because, like, even if we take Stripe has had an issue going public for the last 14 months. And if you look at it outside of PayPal, they're probably the most popular payment processor. There's some issues you guys got to fix, but I love you dearly. We'd love to have you on the show. But if they can't go public because the market isn't ripe for IPOs and they're doing well, what about the companies that may not be doing as well, that is innovation is being stifled?
One of the most anticipated IPOs that hasn't happened. Yeah. And they were supposed to come in with the highest IPO valuation of all time. Yeah. It was them. I know Instacart announced that they're probably going to go public soon. Yeah. But the IPO market has slowed down in itself. And so it changes the environment of when we can go to the open market.
That's why I said that, like, when that last little bit of low interest rates were there from 0 to 3%, they were going to let us get all the money we could to last us for 5 or 6 years. Going back to what I said last year, you have to begin thinking in decade cycles. Like, what can we do in 1 year to make up enough income for a decade to be able to take care of our families?
Yeah, so Powell, Fed chair, said that 2% is still the goal. How realistic is, or is there a timetable you see that we get back to a 2% interest rate?
Listen, I'm going to lean on what Mike said behind stage because he has more money than me and more access to capital and better investor, right? He said for sure we're going to hit recession by 24, 25. Like, he said it so matter-of-factly. I'm like, why are you going to say this before we go on stage?
For sure.
He was like, yeah, 24, 25, for sure we'll be there. Now, it makes the case for Bitcoin, for crypto, because Bitcoin isn't affected by inflation or deflation as much, but I'm surprised. And that's why when you see the institutions are all rushing for the ETF, they need that exposure too to keep them from going under. Like, if you look at Goldman for the first time in probably 30 years is starting to have issues collectively. They're not in love with the CEO as much as they should be or have been in the past. We've had a huge issue with the smaller tier banks because of the product selection. Now, if I make an ETF and I get all that exposure from the crypto market, that will keep them afloat for the next 4 or 5 years. But I don't think the smaller banks are going to have ability to get the ETF. So what is it going to do? It's going to consolidate the market. That's why I say all the big players, no, they're sharks. They're going to navigate to wherever the capital is. Then they're going to make laws that nobody else but maybe 3 or 4 can have an ETF. And that's going to keep them afloat until 27. So they're thinking in decade time frame.
So speaking of Goldman, are you concerned about the leadership and strategy, and how will that affect the overall economy?
Yeah, like it reminds me a lot when it was like Team Dame, shout out to Dame versus Jay. There's a lot of infighting in Goldman right now on direction, on the Marcus product didn't work when they was trying to do retail banking. And I think, but there's a lot of proxy fights. Please write this down. When the economy isn't good, that's when your enemies are going to really try and surround you and get you out of that seat, out of jealousy. It's fine when the economy is going well, but there are narratives that are created. And that's one thing that Kathy was talking about. Like, they'll say things that were not true about her fund to drive the fund down to then take the clients, use the same strategy. There's other firms that had an innovation fund after hers and poached her clients after they had the press talk negatively about her. some of the same things are happening in Goldman right now. And the reason why that's important, because I think they're currently at $443. If one of the top investment banks is having trouble, what does it say for the rest of the banking sector as well? So that's something you have to keep your eye on as like an economic indicator if we're going to do well or not.
It's like JP taking the regional banks and saying, okay, well, they need people to bank with.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are. Come home.
Let's run revenue up.
And I'll take care of you. So I want to see if some of the infighting at Goldman stops. And if you look at the hedge fund business, they created the modern version of hedge funds. Of course, when you expand, there's some mistakes that are made, but to see the active infighting, which you can tell me, I've never heard any infighting from Goldman because their culture is normally so quiet.
Yeah.
To publicly to be against their CEO and the strategy, and now they're spinning off businesses that he acquired. They're looking like they're trying to attack him to take that company over.
Do you think the innovation was an attempt for, and we spoke about this yesterday, about wealth being quiet, and obviously this is one of the best investment banks of all time.
Yeah.
But trying to have new ways to have eyeballs by using innovation.
Yeah.
Example of the Apple Card, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Do you think this was a conscious effort to say, all right, let's be more out in the front? Yeah.
I believe so, because, and then also too, when capital comes in, when you have shareholders, you have to deploy the money. You can't just sit on cash. But also when that inflation, like, please, the most important thing to understand when we're looking at macro cycles is when interest rates go up more than double. So if we go from 3 to 6 or 6 to 12, there are businesses that can do really well in a zero interest rate environment to 3%.
Tech companies.
And then, yes, for example, or payment processors, right? And that's like, if we go back to Square, that's the only thing that ruined my thesis on when the inflation changed. That changed the entire business model because they're trying to make profit on 1 to 3%.
Yeah.
If interest is 6%, you're negative. And if business goes from 6 to 12%, that's a different crop of businesses that can
They'll be in the dead or alive.
Absolutely. So that's why the profit margin matters more than anything. So learning how to scale while keeping that profit margin high is really key. And this is why I love Apple. Worst case scenario, their margins will go to 30% if we go to a 12% interest rate environment, but they'll still be doing better than most of their competition.
All right. So, all right.
Now, I got to ask you a question.
Okay.
What was the biggest insight y'all had from interviewing Diddy? You were on stage with him, electric. He shared a lot that I hadn't seen him that vulnerable in a long time. What was like 2 or 3 of the insights that you guys took away from him that allowed him to get to this moment?
Shout out to my guy, Caleb Silver, chief editor of Investopedia.
Yes.
And he did a great job at Investfest, but he was talking to me. He was like, he's giving me a compliment, and he was just saying, like, you guys are doing a great job of interviewing. He's like, I really like how you followed up on certain questions and you added commentary to it. It made it even more livelier for the discussion. It was like, it was very, very well crafted. But a lot of that just came from me just having epiphanies on stage in real time.
Yeah, I can see the light bulb go off.
It's like when he was saying, he had a moment where he said that, him being a billionaire, and there's only like 12 black billionaires in America, and he said there's like 16 black billionaires in the world, something like that. And he was just saying that the help is not coming. And that's what he told the audience. He was like, look, I saw over the hill. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he was like, I got to the top of the mountain and I saw what's on the other side. And I'm letting y'all know the only way out of this situation is for us to come together collectively. The help and the assistance it's not going to happen. And that was like a ill metaphor for me because I was just thinking in my brain, it's like a general, like, I watch these shows like Game of Thrones and all that stuff. Like, especially like back then, like in real wartime where it was like, old school war where you fight like hand to hand with like, running at each other. The generals was never on the ground. The generals was on top of the hill because they had to be able to see exactly what's happening so they can give orders to the foot soldiers. So that's kind of like, I just had that moment in stage. I'm just thinking like, all right, that's like the general, like on top of the hill. You can't see, the foot soldiers on the ground can't see what's on the other side of the mountain, but the general can. So now the general was like, oh, they got giants. You know what I mean? Like they don't know that until they
boulders were flames.
Like, so they got dragons and all. Like, yo, you about to get slaughtered. So now he's reporting back like, nah, rally the troops. Like this and that. And then, but the people on the ground, they like telling the generals like, they don't know what you're talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no. On if we can get to the other side, then it's all rainbows. And they're like, no, I'm telling you, it's not. So when he was just explaining that, and he was explaining from firsthand experience as far as his lawsuit with Diageo, he went into that and explained why he's suing Diageo and the practices and, you know, how it's different for him being black and different things of that nature. So I thought it was extremely insightful and honest. Where he was like, you know, even for him, like the realization, it took him time to even realize that. Like, you know, he probably didn't fully understand that until he got to that point. And it's just like, oh, but he kind of like drilled down on like, yo, I'm telling y'all, I'm in it. I see it. I see what you can't see.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So to me, that was a very insightful commentary on his behalf. And that was definitely a highlight moment for me, for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Troy?
There's a couple, man. I think, and it's tough because the world would never see it because they know that the personality of Puff is very like alpha male, super dominant, a general. But the way he came to Investfest was he respected us as generals too.
Humble, yeah.
It was like, I want to do what y'all want to do. Y'all tell me what y'all want to do. Let's do it. Yeah. Like, y'all want to do this? Y'all want to move this here? Y'all want to do this? Y'all want this to be the look? Y'all want me to go to the marketplace? Let's do everything y'all want to do.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. Like, I watched him and Shotty have an interaction because, you know, like, Shotty sometimes, I'm like, damn, bro. I'm always ready for, like, just in case something might go the wrong way. And I'm watching it, and I watched him say something to Puff, and Puff looked, and he got it right away, and he was like, tell me what you want. Yeah. And I was like, oh, like he really respects what we're doing here. So that was a moment. And then again, him breaking down the barriers. Like when Shotty somebody's looking over the hill, it's interesting because he did talk about the Diageo situation when he was looking over the hill, but it made me realize that epiphany moment was like, yo, he's really done this in a bunch of industries.
Absolutely.
When we're talking about fashion, this is the first luxury brand of all. Yeah. Not just like black brand. Yeah. The first fashion label to ever be telecast on TV was Sean John. He had his runway show. And now you see Amazon doing the Fenty show. Yeah. Victoria's Secret became a thing. Yeah. But there was none of that before there was Sean John. And so he's kicking down barriers in that industry. He's done it in spirits. He's done it in music.
Yeah, we talk about tequila. Like he was in that early. Like
this was something that, and this is something that he was shared with us. Like that's been a vision since he was a kid. Wow. Like he has always wanted that. And so it was like, let me prove myself. Yeah. And most people thinking like Puff in the height of, this is the height of Bad Boy. This is like, I think Big had just passed, but No Way Out and all these things had already come out. And he's like, I have to prove myself in this industry now. And so he does Ciroc. And what he really wanted was a tequila. And so it's like, yeah, I proved myself. Now let's do a tequila. And then I prove myself again. But there's barriers that he's facing. Absolutely. Right? When we talk about black media, we know we're in it. Right? The battles that he's faced, we're now about to face. Yeah. And so for us, I started to realize, wait, we are now that for the next
generation,
of media. Yeah. They're looking at us like the deals that we make, the partnerships that we make, the
how to do it and navigate it.
Right, the relationships that we have. How do you navigate through this? What does this look like in real time? And I'm like, wow, this felt like a torch passing, right? Like Revolt, that's the family, right? Yeah. That's collaboration, right? That's not competition. Yeah. But now Earn Your Leisure is, hey, here y'all go. Yeah. Now that they get to watch you and do it in real time. Yeah. All the mistakes that I have, I can now teach y'all, and y'all can give it to the next generation of media and black media. And hopefully it spawns a swath of people that are saying like, yo, we can do this. We can do this. We watched them do it. They did it in real time. They gave us the blueprint how to do it. Let's go do it.
Yeah. His showmanship was amazing. Just to see like him be excited and be vulnerable was incredible. Like I said, like it spawned all of us on the side of the stage to start brainstorming with each other in real time. Like, what do we need to do? How do we execute? How we team together? But the most important thing in all of that is the unity is needed. Like we can't get to the generational wealth that we want. And no slight to George Clooney. Put in chat, what's George Clooney's tequila name? Diddy's built up probably $1 trillion in value for those brands.
Oh, Casamigos is a real deal. That's a real deal. That's a real
huge.
Deal. Yeah.
But George Clooney isn't Diddy though.
No,
he's not.
For sure.
He's not.
But Casamigos, well, that's part of the situation. That's part of the thing, right?
Yeah.
Casamigos is on Diageo.
Yeah.
So it's like, where did Casamigos just
Come-
randomly just now? It's like nobody's drinking anything except Casamigos.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen
By accident.
by accident.
That's marketing, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's marketing, and that's money,
Yeah.
and that's distribution.
Yeah.
And that's the key. It's like, nah, this is not a black brand. This is a premium tequila.
But
Casamigos is not a premium tequila.
yeah.
So it shouldn't be shelved in the same places.
And it goes back what you said to access to venture capital, angel. Like we're only getting 1% of the money that's available. Also, distribution, resources, marketing dollars. Like
Yeah, that's a great point.
it's like, why is only 1% going into that?
Right. So imagine when you have a spirits brand and you're getting 1% of the budget, but you're the most popular, and there's
By
another
far.
company that's getting 10% of the budget.
Well, because it's just
Of course, they're going to succeed.
so this was and then when I spoke about Investfest, and
Yeah.
because it led
was
to
important.
a conversation, and that led to other people in the audience that offered things afterwards.
Yeah.
You have to know when to say things.
Yeah. That's key.
That's extremely important.
Yeah.
And that's why I said it, because I knew that if it's 17,000 people here watching stage, somebody's gonna be important.
Yeah.
What's the odds?
Yeah.
So, but when black companies go into it,
Mhm.
it gets pushed into the diversity bucket.
Yeah. Yeah.
The diversity bucket might be like 5% of it never goes into general marketing.
Yeah. General marketing. Yeah.
They cipher it off into, okay, this could be part of our diversity program.
Yeah.
Or this could be part of the Black Initiative.
Yeah.
Yep.
With the regular marketing budget might be $100 million. The Black Initiative budget might be $1 million.
Yeah. And divide it amongst
Yeah. It have
10
to divvy
different
it up.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the part where it's like, well, why can't it just be part of general marketing?
Mhm.
Why can't it be part of the $100 million budget?
How do you think we overcome that?
That's what Diddy said. It's the only way to overcome it is the collaboration with each other.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. That's what this
Like a
point was
cultural
like.
supply chain?
It's not, and somebody else told us that of equal status as well. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Never gonna be a time when the black company is gonna get just as much funding or just as much push as the white company.
Yeah.
Because it's a white company.
Yeah.
It's the unfortunate, harsh reality of it.
Yeah. You got to deal with the cards you dealt.
So the only thing that you can do is now work with other black companies
Mhm.
to accelerate the growth of that. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen for you.
Strength in numbers.
It's just not.
Yeah. That's interesting. Unity is a force multiplier when you're blacked out.
Let's just see who's ready to join. Right? Like if we think about all the success that we've told about those 16 of the 16 billionaires in the world, how many of them have businesses together?
Yeah. That's a great point. That's a great point.
How many? Even the American ones.
I can't think of 3. More work to do.
Time is now. He said it, right? We talk about zero net worth by 2053.
Yep.
We are on the clock.
And that's when the interest rates were less than 3%.
When he said, right, when they took that study.
Yeah.
Yes.
The interest rates were less than 3%. Now you accelerate that number because there's decay in it when you multiply inflation. And if you get price out of housing, get price out of condos, even on the business side, it's harder to even get capital for the business now. So now you're going to accelerate that number. You can probably knock that number down probably about 4 years. And if we keep that interest rate high for 5 or 6 years, it is definitely a planned destruction.
We are on the clock.
Yeah, we're on the clock. There's more work to do.
Let's talk about some stocks.
Let's start with Uber. They're trading just around $44, but they are up over 32%.
They've made a nice run.
They're on a run, up 32% over the past 6 months. We talked about, I remember we had the conversation about adding dominoes. And for the record, I called some people at the house, Shotty, and they said you ate dominoes, bro. I'm just letting you know.
They hit different when you eat dominoes? You ate dominoes before?
I said I've ate dominoes before. I don't. I said
They
Domino's.
called me. I'm just saying they called me. They were like,
Domino's. I've ate Domino's in my life.
yeah.
But it's not a preferred.
Yeah, it's not a
They
preferred.
didn't. They were like,
It's
I
not
don't
a
know.
preferred
I got
choice.
you.
They just said, I didn't like he said that. They told me this. I didn't ask them. They told me. But yeah, so we talked about adding Domino's to Uber Eats and what that would do for the company, because obviously the number one pizza provider.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't even call it tech
Yeah.
food chain. So what's your thoughts on Uber?
Uber, they've made a nice rebound over the last year. I only like it between like 27.38 to like 31.35. They're currently at 44. If I had to make a category for them, there would be like a value play in the tech space.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be very specific on where to buy. I think the leadership has done a great job of adjusting over like the last 6 months, especially like since inflation changed, the environment changed dramatically. You can't buy them above 31, I think, and get great value out of it. They still have a lot more to go to hit that all-time high, but if I can get it around 27 to 31, I'll be happy with the investment there.
I'm gonna go with one of my favorites. It's been one of my favorites since the pandemic, and I was holding shares, and I don't know why I sold my shares.
Okay.
Let's go into the world of finance. Let's talk about Visa. They are
You
up.
sold your shares?
I didn't have many. You remember I had the 1,000 share
I
club?
do, yeah.
They were not in my 1,000 share club.
Okay.
I'm not at the regretful yet.
Yeah.
I'm not at the regretful level yet.
Yeah.
But we're approaching it. At the time I was looking at Visa and I had it. It was trading at 180.
Mm-hmm.
It's now just under 244, up 17% for the year. What's your thought on Visa? And then we'll go to the next one.
Yeah, Visa I love. If I have to look at the financial space for like the last 6 to 7 years, like Visa's been one of my favorites. They are like the preeminent and predominant player in the consumer space.
Mm-hmm.
Great technology stack, great leadership. They do well in every environment. So whether interest rates are high or low, whether the GDP is stalling out or we're booming, they're going to benefit really from both sides. So I would look at Visa like a straddle, if you will. Like regardless of where the market goes, they're going to do well.
Solid one.
Visa's one of my favorites for sure.
Right. So every time we talk about Visa, most people are looking at their competition.
Yep.
Let's talk about MasterCard. MasterCard trading around 407, up 17% for the year. Most people ask, is it Visa or MasterCard? I like to say both.
It's both. You have to index these. And I think we said in 2020, if you're going to buy Visa, you need exposure to MasterCard. And it feels like it may be overkill, similar with like having two indexes, but it's best to have both because what you want to do is minimize the risk. Same with the fund with Diddy, right? So like, let's say if you deployed 25% of the stocks, 25% of the tech, 25% of the housing or commercial real estate, you want to make sure if one slides, the other one takes off so you can offset losses. If you cover Visa and MasterCard, I think you have 92% of all consumer spending.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong when they both have market share like that.
One of my favorites, and this is why I kind of let go of some of the Visa shares, I added American Express.
Yes.
Partly because this is like 2019, 2020, when we talked about them expanding into China.
Yep.
China's economy has not, picked up after COVID.
Yeah.
And like we thought it would, which has affected that. And I mean, it did trend up. What's your thoughts on American Express trading around 160, just under that, up 8% for the year?
American Express is a great hold long term. And plus they serve a higher clientele. So this would be the equivalent of having like Apple, Microsoft, and maybe Tesla in one bucket. You can't go wrong with either. Better if you have them as a big three.
Mm-hmm.
If you hold a great homework assignment, look if you held those three for the last 7 years, how much would you be up, but also factor in how little you would draw down. That's the key. You have to pick companies that are not going to lose a lot of money percentage-wise, because that's what causes all the FOMO in your investment portfolio, and it makes you sell off too early. But if you have those three, you're going to do incredibly well, and they've been one of my favorites for the longest time.
All right, let's add one more in the global payments provider, Fiserv, ticker FI, trading under 121. What's your thoughts on Fiserv?
Out of all the ones in the space, this is one that I like the most. Great management, great leadership. They've been able to adapt pretty well. The price is too high. Normally, like anyone in that space, when inflation changes and the economy, like we're pre-recession, I wouldn't want to invest in. Like maybe if it falls another 10 or 15%, that would be like a buy-in I would like. But out of the space, like they are a clear leader. that I really enjoy. So even when the interest rate environment is lower, you'll have a lot of celebrity CEOs that are more public facing. And when we're in pre-recession or in a recession, you need companies that solely focus on the product and trying to grow that bottom line revenue. And they're one of the ones that do so.
Right.
Yeah, I like that one.
All right, those are solid. I think that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
We'll take it by the sector.
Yes.
And we'll add a bunch of companies in from the sector and go that way.
Yeah. And so I know if you're tired of Apple and Microsoft, these are some alternatives. But if I've made you money, please put yes in chat. So, now, when Diddy gets to saying we made him money, ooh, it's going to hit different.
So fact.
Take that.
Yeah, take that.
So what's the top 3 your favorite guests for Investfest?
I really enjoy Diddy. Like to see that enthusiasm, and this is coming from like a diehard Tupac fan, but to see like the thing that I saw on stage that people don't factor in, how much he endured. Like the stuff that he went through with just the party and early in his career, then the formation of Bad Boy, losing Big, losing Mace, going through the stuff with Death Row, having to be the face of Bad Boy and put out albums, like, and then all the things he's going through with Diageo, like just the perseverance.
And that's outside his personal life.
And helping everyone and the return not always coming back. So I've also identified too, his story is, in terms of comebacks, is more miraculous than Steve Jobs, but often our entrepreneurs get vilified. Notice that everyone that's great in our space, him, Dame, Jay, Kanye, they all get called evil or crazy to demonetize what their actual value of the brands are. We can argue, like, I mean, Diddy's taking better care of his kids than Steve did.
Yes.
And that's barely mentioned. Like, kudos to the Jobs family. Love you guys dearly. I don't want any issues. But some of the issues that he's faced, it would have broken the average person. I don't know if Mark Benioff could have handled the all-out war with Larry Ellison in 99 or 96, right? That was a favorite guest. Of course, I enjoyed the time with Kathy and Mike. That was very special for me. But like the ones who are, it's interesting to see like how hungry Rich Paul was. Like, if certain people just came out and it's like, oh, you came this weekend to kill.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's what I would say, you know,
I don't think they was expecting that.
They weren't expecting
Rich
that.
Paul was on one. He was on one.
Different.
He surprised me because I know Rich, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know Rich. We spoke to him a variety of different times. And he's more of a laid back kind of
Chill,
guy.
yeah.
He not like, but he was laser focused, and you could tell that he was prepared for the moment. He was on his A game. And so unfortunately, I never get to really watch a lot of panels.
Yeah.
So I'm not really qualified to say like who was my top, because I only saw like a few of them.
Who did you hear had impact though?
No, I'll let him go because I watched a few guys.
Well, first I want to talk about Rich Paul. So like I said, Rich Paul came out laser focused, hit on all cylinders.
Yeah. If you get the replay, watch his first.
What he said about the LeBron thing was extremely insightful. Man, it was very dope conversation. Rich was laser focused, so he was up there for me for sure. I think another person that was laser focused was Robert Smith. Yeah, I think he came ready for any angle, because I spoke to him before. Yeah, and he's like, you know, what's the angle of the conversation going to be? And I told him, he's like, I already saw the questions, but Steve Harvey didn't really ask him a lot of the questions that we gave him to ask. He kind of just improvised. But it didn't throw him off his pivot. Absolutely. He was ready for it. Like Steve Harvey is asking him questions about taking money out of your house. Yeah. Robert Smith, he probably wasn't prepared to answer that question because it's Robert Smith. He's not. Yeah, he doesn't need that. Yeah. You know, somebody that's talking about home equity. But the way he answered it, and he answered it and related it to private equity. Yeah. And I think it was a great analogy when he said, like, you know, capitalism, and he talked about how, you know, he's always taught, and this is what most working class and poor people are taught, like just from a laborer standpoint, and not from a capital standpoint. And once he understood the making capital work is more beneficial than working, that changed his life. Yeah, really, he's like, you know, he made $38,000 a year. He thought that was it. Yeah, you know. So
coffee story was interesting.
Yeah. So you know, he was laser focused. For sure. Yeah.
Even Steve though, the comedic relief, like
No,
his showmanship and like
it's masterful. Steve joke and the joke. You know,
oh my God.
he's one of the greatest to ever do it for a reason.
Absolutely.
So, you know, the way that he was able to engage the crowd and speak in common terms that most people can understand, relate to. I think he didn't want to kind of get to a space where nobody knew what was being
But
said.
look how vulnerable, I want to address that, but how vulnerable he was just to even, let me knock that down real quick. Like, he doesn't have to say anything. You could let press do that. But for him to go in front of the crowd and say, hey, I don't know what y'all thought, but it's like,
Shout out to Sean, his spiritual word. That's the thing.
shout out to spiritual word. Yeah.
They clipped that up.
Yeah.
They had exclusive access.
Yeah.
They used their exclusive access to their advantage on that one.
Yeah.
Because I think they're the only ones that actually was able to clip that because they was there.
Yeah.
But for sure, I mean, like I said, those are things that I saw. I personally witnessed it. I didn't. I watched some of your panel. I didn't get a chance to watch all of it. But I heard that your panel was amazing. I heard 19 Keys' presentation was dope. I heard the AI panel was really great.
That was buzzing.
I heard the reparations panel was really great. The Fidelity stage had a lot of great education.
I want to go.
A lot of great education.
Yeah, which one? Yeah,
because you brought up the Fidelity stage, so I actually went over there.
Yeah.
But just again, I wanted to make sure I saw it, and that VC conversation, and shout out to Phaedra and Ruben Harris.
Yeah.
Phaedra was like, you want to talk about laser focus?
Can you come on the show, please?
Ready for the moment.
Yeah.
I was sitting next to
her.
I think it was her assistant, and she was just recording. And we were sitting there like, she's going crazy.
Yeah.
That was incredible. I got to give a huge shout out to Humble. Humble came on that stage and he lit that stage up. Yeah. And we know Humble. We've been in plenty of environments with Humble. Incredible guy. He brought his son there. He came ready, and that first panel with him and it was Alonzo Ball. Shout out to Alonzo Ball and Mav Carter. Humble went crazy.
Humble, I need you on the show, brother. It's long overdue.
Rich, I mean, that was amazing. But I got it. When I saw Kiana Watson's panel with Terica Smith, and shout out to Terica. Yeah. If you know her story is one of triumph. It's remarkable, the things that she's been through to be where she's at. But to see her next to Cheryl McKissick, when we talk about generational wealth, and this person is the embodiment of 5 generations of business and wealth. And to hear her tell Cheryl that she's her role model. Yeah. And Cheryl looked back at her, and after hearing Terica's story and saying, you know, I don't just buy homes anymore. I buy communities, and I name the streets after my kids. Yeah, that's... Cheryl McKissick looked at her and said, you're my role model. That's deep. And I was like, this is a moment. Yeah, it's a moment. Shout out to Terica. Shout out to the entire panel. Shout out to Kiana Watson for hosting it. Yeah. That was incredible. Diddy, of course. I mean, everybody brought it. Absolutely. Wait, Joy Taylor. Yeah. Joy Taylor.
Yeah, Joy Taylor won the best dress award.
Joy Taylor. I was getting texts like, yo, Joy is incredible. Like, she's incredible the way she's able to navigate through the panel. I mean, she's a pro. Yeah. But I mean, she came up, showed out. Everybody delivered, man. And I'm glad you brought up the Fidelity stage, because that stage right there, to see how many people came out to support that stage because of the topics, right? It wasn't just because there were people there. Yes, we had incredible people, but the topics were important to them. The reparations was important to it. Having Benjamin Crump there talking about it, having Jamal Bowman being there to talk. It was like people cared about the information that was being given and trying to take actionable items away to see what they can do. It was, I mean, everybody came and they delivered. So shout out to everybody that pulled up.
And even with the drip report, like one thing, I was talking to Terrence, and I know people be like, oh man, y'all talk about the drip, but like, good lesson. You have to dress how you want to be addressed. And at a certain level, you do have to dress in a royal fashion. And
you got to create controversy. Like,
it's a good lesson.
It got to be a debatable. That's why I don't get, like, in my comments, it might be like 70% of the people that's like, yo, that's fire. Yeah. 30% of people might be, yo, that's trash. Like, you can't, I don't take it personal. Yeah. It's engagement. You got it. It's controversial. Yeah. So now it's a debate of if it's good, and it's all subjective. It's like art. Yeah. What looks good to me as far as artwork, you might think is terrible. Yeah. But that's the beauty of art. Everybody can interpret it for themselves. So yeah, the drip report has become legendary, but it's a great marketing
tool,
and it's great to break the mold of just finance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
You got to
needed.
be bigger.
Going back to
than
being a
just-
contrarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then knowing your thing, right? It's like, hey, Troy, come do the drip report. No, Shotty does the drip report.
Yeah.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
He actually likes to do that.
Yeah.
I'm more like, yo, I'm cool. Like, I want to put on what I think.
No, what you
we
had
good.
on some
I'm not
fire.
saying, I'm just
That's
saying, like,
yeah,
it's not like you're not going to pull me.
Well, the first night was a cream brulee. What was that?
That one, it was an ombre. We're going to call that, it was a croissant, right? It was more like a sunset type
That
feel.
was a fire.
But it was more like, that's his thing. Like, being the massive investor is your thing. I'm not saying like, yo, come look at my crystal ball. Like, no, that's your thing.
Yeah.
Everybody can have
But
their
you may
thing.
have to step it up Friday night. Starburst inspired. Saturday. Turquoise. Turks and Caicos turquoise, you know?
I like that.
That was fire. Yo, everybody dressed.
That was nice.
Now, I'm really trying to figure out. I spoke to Matty J. I pulled him to the side. I said, yo, you really just going to go with the no ventilation play? The boy had the jacket on.
Yes.
It was 100 degrees outside.
Yes.
But
But you have to show up at like the P.T. Barnum and Diddy's match with this as well. You have to make a spectacle out of everything.
you have to. And you got to get people to talk about you.
Absolutely.
So it's like, for me, it's like, all right, the pajama play.
That was fire.
All
That's
weekend.
my favorite.
It's the pajama play. So
Yeah.
Saturday was the satin. Sunday was the terry cloth. And it's a conversation starter. It's a conversation starter.
And it's literally like leisure wear.
Yeah.
Like seeing it, I was like, I see.
Athleisure.
I was like, I see, yes, biz leisure. I was
Biz
like,
leisure.
well played.
His leisure.
Well played. Shout out to Mike B for making it at the
Shout out
last
to
minute.
Mike B.
Mike B.
Shout out to Mike B.
Yeah, might be, man.
Shout out
It
to
was,
Mike B,
a
man.
lot of people were nervous Friday. I know
Oh,
some
boy.
flights were getting delayed.
Yo,
But
King
you know,
was
Mike B
promising.
used to be Diddy's stylist.
Yeah.
Fact.
So they had a conversation when
did
Diddy
they?
first came in. Yeah, they
Yeah,
was
backstage. Yeah, they had a
backstage.
moment.
They was chopping it up, and yeah. So
There's some legendary pictures
That's
that came for that.
So
Yeah.
Investfest a vibe, man. It was a lot of great networking. I met a lot of good people. As I said, actually, when I said that thing about us not getting the proper sponsorships, few people I spoke to that day, like, yo, next year we want to do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to push this XYZ corporation to put this in the vendor marketplace. So
Yeah, I got The emails came through. Hey, we want to be the title.
Yeah.
We want to be the title. I don't care what they're saying. This is what we're gonna do. I got one. I'm a lobbyist.
Yeah, even
I'm
though,
a lobbyist.
and this is important of unity. Like even the conversations that I was able to have with Mike and Kathy and like people behind the Coach K. Shout out to you. But people come like, hey, I want you to meet this congressman. Let's see what we can do for market money. Like you need a army for everyone who's think you're going to be like a lone wolf entrepreneur. Man, it's tough as hell to get it done. You need relationships across the board at every level, and that's what brought me like to Rich Paul. He doesn't have to prove or Humble. They don't have to prove anything. Like their track record is spoken for but for them to be hungry on that stage, I'm like Rich. Like he came to kill everybody.
yeah, Rich was on one.
Yeah,
He was laser focused.
yeah,
man.
he was locked in.
And yeah, so shout out to everybody. Man, I would hate to be left out of the bubble of Investfest. Like that is the entrepreneur Super Bowl. Like you got to be there.
Carolyn said the WrestleMania of world finance. It's interesting. Everybody's coming up with their own taglines and phrases for it because they're like, I haven't seen the entertainment with the networking.
Everybody's there.
And where's she from? We don't leave that part out.
Tell people where she's from.
So she works at Bloomberg.
Yes.
Like she works.
She
for
goes
Bloomberg.
with
Josh Brown said, I've never seen nothing like this. Like,
And he works CMP. Like you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
they work for these cars.
that's
And
everywhere.
it's the same consensus. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
It's just good for everybody. And that's the thing. Like, even if you weren't on the stage, like, there's opportunities that can come.
Absolutely.
Just walking in the marketplace, just meeting somebody. If you had the opportunity to talk on the podcast stage,
Yeah.
if you had the opportunity to talk on EYL stage, Fidelity stage, like, it's beneficial for everybody.
Yeah.
The whole ecosystem
Yeah.
eats off of it indirectly.
Yeah, Gotti said that to us. He was like, I don't care if you didn't
shout
sell
out.
out every piece of merchandise or whatever you were doing, financial services inside that marketplace. The fact that you're in it,
Yeah.
20,000 people now know who your business was. Whereas 2
Makes
weeks
a
ago,
difference.
nobody knew who your business was.
Yeah.
But you were in that space. So now that gives you automatic clientele and automatic authorization.
I got-
Like, you're serious about business.
Text now, people trying to prepay for a booth next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a text
Premium.
during this. I'm gonna show you
Like,
after.
you know, premium. I want the premium booth next year. Like, you know what I mean? So
Well, yeah. What can you pay to have a guy like Diddy come to your booth? You know what I'm saying?
And endorse your brand for free.
on the vendor marketplace was something that we're intentional about bringing people. So Diddy came through the vendor marketplace. Steve Harvey came to the vendor marketplace. Robert Smith walked the vendor marketplace. Jeezy did a book signing.
Yeah.
In the vendor
Jeezy
marketplace.
took a bunch of pictures of people.
The vendor marketplace has become a cultural phenomenon within itself.
Yeah, he compared it to what Magic was doing in Vegas.
Oh, that's wow.
So then, because I was
right when you did fashion, even if you didn't know your brand, you
you have to be there.
You're stamped because you're here.
I was with JD and we was looking. We had like a skybox we could look into the vendor marketplace, but nobody could see up because it was tinted windows. And he's like, "What's the vision?" Da-da-da. And I was telling him like, "Yeah, you know, just even if you think about Essence Fest like that." And then he was when he came. JD came every day.
Yeah. He was moving around.
Like behind just to watch.
Yeah.
Like taking notes.
Yeah. That's like, you never know who's gonna be there.
Like JD was there on some like I'm just here just to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be in the audience. No, I don't even want nobody to know I'm here. I'm just here just to take notes. So he was like, yo, like Sunday, I'm walking through the marketplace with him. And he was
you don't paint the full, you just walking through him. You're in a mob.
Well, I'm saying I was with him. I was next to him.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey, y'all was in front of us, but me and JD was right next to each other. So we walking through the marketplace, and he was just saying like, "Yo," he's like, "When you told me that thing about the vendors, I wanted to see it for myself to kind of get a full appreciation." He's like, "Now," he's like, "I could understand it." He's like, "Now I'm understanding it now." He's like, "This is part of my education."
Yeah.
To actually just know how the inner workings of these things actually look. And he was like, just give me ideas about different things. He was like, nah, this is something different. Like, so yeah, man.
How you feel? Honored, humbled? Well,
it's a dope vibe to be able to curate a moment like that for the world. And like I said, I mean, it's technically world history if you think about it. I'm not actually exaggerating.
It is.
It's just by definition, it's world history. No matter how you feel about it, by definition, it's the largest financial event that's ever taken place.
Yes.
So that's world history.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You can't, there's nothing that you really can.
All genres, all communities, like it don't exist.
Yeah.
And name the guys. Like, shout out to Sticks. He called me before this. He was just like, I'm thinking about all the guys in finance, and I know a lot of them, but they can't do this.
Yeah.
They can't do I don't care how much wealth they have.
And a lot of them stated it.
They can't do this.
Yeah.
I mean, how would they?
Yeah. You know, and that's what everybody said. Like Diddy, everybody, the consistent theme around all of those people was like, "Yo, y'all lineup is crazy.
Yeah,
the lineup is crazy."
It almost wasn't real.
That was the consistent. That was the consistent theme of like, your lineup is crazy.
Crazy. Yeah, there's nowhere you couldn't go. Even the vendor marketplace.
Hey.
There was some people there brainstorming and networking there and sharing some gems. It was
we forgot somebody that walked through the marketplace. Shout out to Milan too. Shout out to Milan.
Shout out to the queen. Yeah.
Milan actually went through a lot of the entrepreneurs' booths and purchased merchandise.
Yeah.
She didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah, that's fire.
She actually gave away merchandise to people.
Yeah.
She was incredible. But Tabitha Brown walked in that marketplace. Yeah.
That's a lot to learn.
Tabitha is a superstar.
A rock star, bro.
You're right. Rock star.
Rock star.
Her energy precedes her.
Absolutely.
You could feel the energy. And she's super gracious. It was like, auntie. Like people just love
her.
Her and everything about her they love. Her panel was incredible as well.
Yeah.
I was watching a little bit of hers just because it was like, yo, we had a conversation before she went on stage and it was like, I'm just so excited that she's here and she was excited to be here. Yeah. And she went on and killed it and still felt gracious enough. Like, let me go see what this is about.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you never know. Yeah. You never know.
Next year, start the phone calls early.
No, we already started a few phone calls.
Let's start working.
Oh, no, we already started working. We'll talk about that.
And a few people couldn't make it this year at the last minute. You know, people have obligations and different things that come up. So maybe we can run the play back with them next year.
That'd be great.
Their schedule permits. But that was the scary part. We didn't even have a full roster as far as everybody that was supposed to be there. Some people, you know, kids have to go to college and last minute obligations have to happen. So, man, be very afraid. Get the playback. You can purchase the playback now.
Yeah.
Investfest.com. All right. Well, before we wrap, let's talk about ChatGPT. Can we?
Yes.
OpenAI announces ChatGPT Enterprises, their biggest announcement since the launch of ChatGPT. How do we think this will affect the growth of the company and how will it benefit Microsoft? So what's the deal with this?
So we talked about this a few weeks ago. Like the user base or the new signups was slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only 3 ways you can really do business. You can do business with consumers, with other businesses, and then with governments. They got the consumer part down. Now they open it to enterprises. So going back to that, what can a company do? And this is the biggest mission, everyone listening. If you have a business or a brand, what can you do to help other businesses, other brands be more efficient, get more done, and to make more money? Now that this is open, it's going to be used more in email, more in business conversations to create proposals, to speed up the work process. And just as things was tapering off before they come out with ChatGPT 5, they launched to the enterprises. Now they get all that user data in. It can improve the large language model dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a result, Microsoft, being an investor in it, is going to be the big beneficiary of that AI boom.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win. OpenAI now hits a different audience that they didn't have before at scale, right in time when school is coming back in, right when we'll see productivity increase in September and October. And every business on earth is going to need this to be more efficient.
Yeah, that's the part about when you have capital.
Yeah.
Right? Something that might have taken 5 years to implement.
Yep.
Microsoft puts an influx of money in,
Yep.
and now it takes 2 months.
Yes.
Right? Like, this is what we talking
Cash
about.
is king.
Right. Like, they're able to expedite their level of efficiency and success because they have the funds to do it. And so I was reading on it. So the enterprise version is going to allow clients to input company data to train and customize ChatGPT for their own industries and use cases. That's
incredible. So think what that'll do for like State Farm and Allstate. And
pick a company.
It's like almost like email. It's an addition that you need in the business to make you be more efficient. Like we use it every day. As soon as it came out, I started using it, and it's only gotten better. So I don't see why, let's say Keller Williams or any other real estate brand, do you have to use this now to get out more emails and then increase the overall productivity as sales have come down? So the biggest players on earth with the most amount of capital are going to invest in the best businesses. And as a result, Microsoft should grow maybe 10 to 11% year over year with this addition and a couple others. It's easy money. Sometimes we want the new thing. There's no new Robert Smith. There's not another Rich Paul. He's one of one. There's not another Humble. Like, just ask Charlemagne how well things have gone. Like, some people are just generational rock stars, and some companies are just like generational talents that will not be able to be duplicated.
It's going to be tough.
That's a fact.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Investfest, generational, once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime experience, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well,
it's been real.
It's been real. Go to ianinvest.com to get the stock club sale, that Investfest offering that only happens once a year. It's like Christmas. 24 hours, ladies and gentlemen. You have 24 hours. 5-year access to Stock Club, 1 year access to Sniper, the replay of some of the key points, 2 hours of exclusive trading gems, how to trade without a stop loss, private live trading session with Ian in person, January, review of live trades, one swing trade a month, crystal ball access.
I'll even tell y'all maybe like the top 5 things I talked about with Kathy and Mike behind the scenes too. Let's sweeten the pot. And please make this happen. You don't have to order anything, but if you see us on TV with Kathy and Mike in another fund, don't say I didn't forewarn you.
Hey, you give him a lot, man.
Hey, gotta over-deliver.
Gotta
over-deliver.
ianinvest.com, 24 hours, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Shout out to Diddy.
Yes.
$1 million check. Legendary situation. Definitely one of the highlights of Investfest.
Yeah.
The talk of social media.
1000%. Big shout out. And I know he didn't get to see the end of it, but shout out to Ab.
Yeah.
My brother. Incredible. I mean, the level of dedication and attention to detail, especially for this moment. I know we were worried that he wasn't going to be able to make it with the new edition, but he was able to see it firsthand. So I want to give him a huge shout out. I want to give a huge shout out to Beatty and the whole SH team. Incredible to work with. You know, that's like the family over there. Magda, I got to give a huge shout out to Magda.
Yeah, Magda. It was good seeing
Shout out to Magda and all the volunteers and helping to organize that. And then shout out to my wife.
Yes.
For number one, just helping us on, well, not helping us, but doing a lot of the stuff behind the scenes that nobody gets to talk about. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
And shout out to the entire team. I want to shout out Shotty, Mike, Matt.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen without everybody doing their part. It's stressful.
Absolutely.
It's demanding. It's taxing, but it's all worth it.
It was worth it.
And so I just want to tell my brothers that I love them and everybody that made this a successful event. Ashley and her team.
Yeah.
The security. Shout out to y'all
hold it down.
OG Shell and his entire team. Shell, man, I mean, when I'm not around, he's looking after my family. And there's nothing more important than that to me. And I know likewise for you gentlemen as well. So shout out to the security that keep us safe. Kevin is the transportation team.
Absolutely.
I mean, incredible as always. So love is love, man. Thank y'all.
The Investor Spot on Instagram. Follow the Investor Spot on Instagram. It is his birthday tomorrow, I believe. I saw him.
Okay.
He said, yo, bro, if you could just give me a shout out for my birthday, I'd appreciate
Birthday.
it. Detroit, youngest in charge. He goes to everything that we do.
Yes.
He's been supporting from day one. I don't even know if he's 21 yet. But he finds a way to go to every single event that we're at.
Finds a way.
And he finds a way to be VIP at every single event that we're at.
That's a fact.
So shout out to him, man. Real Detroit hustler, man. Kid's got a bright future ahead of him. So make sure y'all show my boy some love.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, brother. Definitely wanted to make sure I give him that shout out before we close out.
And MG's birthday too.
Oh, happy birthday, man. I love you.
Yeah, and I think his little lady's her birthday. They got the same birthday.
Yeah.
So shout out to little Sid.
Yeah. Shout out to my team. Ty, Pierre, Yomi, thank you for pulling up, snapping. Thanks to security.
Yomi. So she's with you?
Yeah. Only the family.
Yeah.
Only the family. So
she responsible for some classics for us.
Absolutely. Shout out to my WTF media family. But yeah, Yomi killed it. 100, Edwin, Jew, all my team behind the scenes, man. I love it. Brand, I appreciate you so much. Love you dearly. It was amazing.
And Joe Button.
Shout out to Joseph. What's up, Corey?
Shout out to Joe Button.
Joe Button, he slid off so quick. Gave him a little
vinegar chips and all.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joe, man. Y'all know me, especially me. Like, I be having fun with Joe on social media, especially ever since we went on his show. So a lot of people, it's like they're not really sure about the dynamics of our relationship. I always said, I always respect Joe from the beginning.
Joe family.
And Joe always been a good dude, man. And he showed us a lot of love and support just from him always talking about it. People show you love in different ways.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Him mentioning it every time he gets a chance to mention it, that's his way of actually showing support. I know that, like, you know what I mean? So, and I also just know Joe, like I know how he is.
His brain works. So
it's always love, man.
That's my guy.
But, definitely. Button.
Oh, his birthday coming up.
Is
his birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday,
God.
Happy birthday.
Happy
birthday to
bro.
the God, man.
Happy birthday to Joe Button. But that was a dope moment, man, to see Joe pull up to Investfest after 2 years.
He was watching. I brought him in. He just was like, yo, first thing he said was, I'm proud of y'all.
Yeah, he was tuned in.
Shout out to Joe, man. And Ish
and
was in the building. It was some tings. It was a few tings in there as well. Investfest has become a cultural moment.
I don't know. What are these things you speak of? I know not.
Excuse me?
I know not.
As far as
it was
nice.
It was a beautiful ensemble.
It was a nice vibe.
Yes.
It was a nice vibe. A VIP night, Saturday, Sunday, all these after parties. And that's important because it's bigger than finance.
Yeah.
And it's become a cultural moment. I think Atlanta, the last cultural moment of this magnitude, I think was Freaknik.
That's a great perspective.
Yeah, Isaac Hayes was saying that.
Atlanta has a lot of events,
but
they're not like cultural. Like you do a Super Bowl in Atlanta, that's not a cultural moment, a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
like this is Investfest has become a cultural moment that's woven inside of the fabric of Atlanta, and it means something for the city every single year.
Yeah.
So,
and the best part, no drama. Like me and Matt was partying. Like issues that was with us. Shout out to my girl Foxy.
I heard y'all went crazy in there.
It was packed out. Shout out to Smitty. Like
peaceful.
Yeah. Shout out to Smitty. Shout out to Smitty. Shout out to Smindo.
20,000 people peacefully.
Yeah. No drama.
Of course, people might be a little upset that they have to wait online, and we'll definitely work on that for sure.
Yeah.
But if apologize for anybody that had any logistical issues. But it's difficult to scale an event from 3,000 to 20,000 people in 3 years. But needless to say, there are things that could be improved on.
Yeah.
And we will improve on that to make the experience as best as possible. But we appreciate the patience and nobody going out to extremes for anything. And everybody just existing peacefully and still keeping good spirits no matter what. It was 100 degrees out there too. That's something that we can't complain. We can't control the weather, and we didn't know it was going to be a heat wave.
Yeah.
But at least it didn't rain. So
I'll take that.
Could be worse.
I'll take that.
Last year VIP night was
Horde.
Rained crazy.
Out,
So this year, it was 100 degrees. So you just have to always be thankful of your blessings. So yeah, Investfest goes down in history books tomorrow. Dope episode.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
My boy Nigel, gonna be a good one. And Akon tonight on Revolt and Wednesday on Revolt's YouTube channel.
On the plane?
Yeah. Talking that talk.
Yeah, it was a dope one.
Talking that talk.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Shout out to Akon. Shout out to Senegal. Shout out to Mother Africa. We are going there in December.
Cannot wait.
Get your tickets to Ghana. And next week we will be announcing the information for Chi-Town, Chi City.
Different when we come to Chicago.
And they say Chi City
Yeah.
play a
Shout out to
big
my guy
part in
Daniels, too.
Chicago like Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chi-Town, man.
Harold. Shout out to Harold.
Shout out to Chicago,
Cannot
man. They
wait.
always show us love in Chicago. Chicago a
wait.
vibe. Chicago's always been a vibe. So anytime we go to Chicago, it's
gonna
nothing
be
but
a great
love.
time.
So, shout out to all the Chicagoans. And
shout out to who came to come party. It was a bunch of them in the building the other night. Like,
Chicago.
Chicago. I'm like, oh man, let's get to it. Midwest love, different.
Chicago.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah, it's gonna be a vibe.
Someone pick them up. Take
All
them
right.
to the moat.
Well, it's been real, ladies and gentlemen. IanInvest.com, 24 hours, Investfest, one for the record books.
Absolutely. God is good.
Love is love, man. Reach out to each other. Tap in with your people. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.